Every great city has its tales, and I've been documenting their stories and people for over 20 years. This is Tales of a City.
Doctor, old doctor, I'm a-feeling mighty bad. I'm a-hurting from my head down to my feet. Tell me, is it true? All I need is a note from you, and I can get me some of that wonderful wacky weed. Medical marijuana, some folks say they ought to legalize it 'cause it takes away all pain. And everybody knows everybody must get stoned, and that's a good enough a reason, wouldn't you say?
Medical marijuana has long been a contentious issue in South Australia. Since 1971, attempts to legalise weed have been blocked at every turn. But recently, legislation has allowed the use of cannabis if prescribed by a doctor, thus paving the way to ending marijuana prohibition altogether. The fact is, the concept of using marijuana for medical purposes is far from a new one. In fact, you may well be surprised just how far back it goes. It's around 2730 BC, and legendary Emperor Shen Nung, regarded as the father of Chinese medicine, is exploring the benefits of marijuana for everything from malaria to poor memory. Use soon spreads across the continent, though even back then, overuse supposedly caused blindness, sexual problems and hallucinations, or as they called it then, seeing devils. Irish doctor William O'Shaughnessy introduced weed to England and America in 1840, treating seizures, nausea and menstrual cramps. Queen Victoria's doctor prescribed weed for his patients, leaving many to wonder if the Queen ever took a toke to ease the pain of her monthly cycles. Across the ocean blue, George Washington grew hemp, but it wasn't the kind that gets you stoned. Still, rumours persist that he used it for toothaches. Remember, he ended up with wooden teeth. Soon weed was in all sorts of medicines, a paste treating corns on the feet, cannabis cigarettes for asthma attacks, and cough mixture for both adults and children. Books at the time listed dozens of medical uses for weed, but it didn't last. In the early 1900s, laws designed to crack down on heroin and cocaine began to target marijuana, and public hysteria grew. The campy 1936 film Reefer Madness popularised weed's negative image, showing stoned teenagers attempting to rape, kill, going insane and committing suicide. Soon marijuana possession and distribution were illegal, and in 1970 marijuana was classified in the US as a Schedule I drug with a high potential for abuse and no accepted medical use. Since then, every pot user, whether it was for medical or recreational purposes, has risked arrest, prosecution and prison for partaking in the evil weed. Until, of course, big business realised there's huge money in this, and decriminalising would pave the way to corporate control of the next generation's medical market. But while government has been quibbling about how medical hooch can be politically handled and capitalised upon, one woman has been relieving the suffering of countless lives by producing cannabis oil for cancer and other serious patients at absolutely no cost to the patient. That's right, free of charge. But of course, no good deed goes unpunished.
There are fears some sick Australians will suffer needlessly after a producer of medicinal cannabis had her home raided by police. Jenny Hallam supplied cannabis oil free of charge to more than 100 patients across the country. She's now facing potential criminal charges, forcing those who rely on her to go to illegal drug dealers on the black market. Here's Gia Laux.
Steve Peake doesn't care he's breaking the law. Cannabis oil is the only drug helping his dying daughter Sully.
On 2 occasions now, once in the hospital and once at home, it's actually saved her life.
The 8-year-old suffers epileptic seizures and is in palliative care.
We put Sully on cannabis oil because there was no more options left.
Jenny Hallam has spent the past 2 years supplying free cannabis oil for more than 100 other Australians like Sully. Supplying the drug is illegal in South Australia. And yesterday, the pensioner's worst fear was realised. Police raided her Adelaide home, seized her oil and reported her.
It literally means that people's lives are in danger. This woman has saved many a life and continues to save life every single day.
Where's the problem? Who's it hurting? It's not hurting nobody.
Sully only has enough oil to last until the end of next week.
It could be deadly for Sully, and it could be deadly for Sully within a matter of days. And I'm sorry I have to say that.
There are now fears desperate people will have to source the products from much darker places, with no choice but to go to dealers whose products are less effective or might not work at all. And they'll have to pay for them.
That's part of the message that the politicians need to get. It's not like the market's going to close up. You're just not helping anybody.
Advocates hope Miss Hallam's case will be the catalyst for new laws. Gia Laux, 10 Eyewitness News.
In the small northern town of Gawler, a core group of supporters gather to plan a demonstration. An unassuming woman, it was clear from the start that Jenny Hallam was not one that sought the limelight, but rather had been thrust into it. Her supporters came from varying walks of life, but they all shared something in common: the need for cannabis oil to be freely available.
I just want to say, I haven't really done anything special. I've just done what a lot of other people are doing. I've just done it in maybe a little bit bigger scale. But there are a lot of people doing what I'm doing, and they're just doing it very quietly in the background, and they might be helping 10 or 15 people, but it all adds up. So, I just want to say that I'm not special, and it's not me that's healing people, it's the cannabis that's healing people. So let's just get that clear. and I don't take problem as well. So thank you very much, I appreciate it, but let's get the job done and let's get this legalised, because that's what we're here for. So, but thank you for coming, everyone. I appreciate it so much.
Listening to Jenny and her supporters, I could feel the anguish and the frustration these people felt. The day of the demonstration, and at first numbers are low, but the spirits of the core group were high. As the media started to arrive, so did more and more people who have an opinion on oil.
She's always got the doctor come and give her injections. She's lost her government job because she's so sick and so ill. So if she had something like this, it would make it so much easier for her.
Has she ever tried cannabis oil?
No, well she hasn't been able to get it. We've tried to get it through Queensland, but wasn't able to get it.
How are you feeling, Jenny?
Yeah, a little bit nervous. Yeah, like I said, I don't really like I've never really liked the attention. I'd rather just be, I would rather just be it back the way it was, just doing what I was doing and helping people the way I was helping them, and not this attention.
You did prefer to remain anonymous.
I did, yeah. I mean, I've always been an activist. I've always sort of said, talked about it and how it works and stuff like that, but I never came out openly and said, hello, I provide it, would you like it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's the other problem as well. I've probably had even more people now contacting me begging for help, and I have to say no to them, and that's the hardest thing, is trying to say no to people.
With Malcolm Turnbull now announcing that he's recommending that GPs get cannabis oil from overseas, he also mentioned that he wasn't going to be giving any amnesty to anyone.
That's right.
How does that make you feel in terms of the charges you're facing?
Well, I'm really angry. We're not doing this for any other reason but to try and help people and save their lives, and I think if you've been told that nothing else is going to work, and if this is the only thing that's going to help you, I think you've got the right to try whatever you can to save your life. And I think them trying to tell you that you can't do that, and say to access it from overseas. He knows damn well that it's almost impossible to access from overseas. It takes so long to get it, the process is so convoluted, and it's alright for him to say to do it, he's got the money to pay for it, but it's going to cost thousands of dollars to some families.
Would there be any means of checking what's actually in their ingredients that's coming in from overseas?
Well, no, we just have to trust what they're making. So, you know, these overseas companies make something and they send it over here, and we don't get to test it separately when it gets here. We just have to assume that it's okay. So we would rather have products that are made here in Australia that we know are safe, and use them here, homegrown products that are, you know, profits going to Australia. You know.
Just lastly, do you have any concern about possibly going to jail?
It does concern me, of course. Everyone, you know, gets worried about the idea of going to jail, but I'm just hoping that they see sense and it doesn't get to that. But I always knew that there was a chance of that when I started doing that, so I take that risk, and you know, and if I have to go to jail to get it through, then so be it. So, you know.
You're a brave woman.
No, maybe a bit stupid, I think, but someone's going to do it. I think someone has to be the one to stand up and say enough is enough, and we're going to do it.
Firstly, I'd just like to, you know, I've said thank you, and I mean it's heart to heart here because this obviously affects more people than we know, because we've been taught to keep quiet about this, you know? We've been taught to just sit down, be quiet, don't make a fuss. Well, you know what? It's time to stand up, because caring for the people that we love, hey, at the end of the day, that's paramount. That shows that we're human. That shows that we care. You know, since when is that a crime? I'm not a criminal, and I believe no one else here is either. Yeah! I mean, you know, firstly I probably should introduce myself. My name's Susie, and I've been a cannabis activist for over 38 years now. So I've watched things come and I've watched things go, but never have I seen what I'm seeing here today, you know, and the catalyst for that, I believe, is my good friend, Jenny Hallam. Because let me tell you, this woman right here, she has done more, and I'm talking a shitload more than the government has done in her whole time, you know. This girl has helped over 200 people for free. You know, there was no charge involved. This was heart-to-heart stuff. This is why we're all here, you know, because at the end of the day, what did she do that was wrong? She helped the people that society, the medical profession, had kicked to the side and said, sorry, we can't help you anymore. But Jen said, you know what, I can and I will. And she did, you know, and I have seen that many results. One or two, you can say, yeah, that's a miracle. When you see as many as what we've seen, there's no miracle anymore. It's all about cannabis. Come on, you know. It should be.
Thanks, everyone. I appreciate your coming. I appreciate all the support. I think this is going to end up going out the window. I really appreciate everyone coming here today, but I'd like to turn this again around and make this about cannabis, not about me. Cannabis is a really important issue to me. It's something that's been my life for the last couple of years. But I want everyone to realise that the things that have happened and the things that I've been able to do haven't been me. I didn't cure anybody. Cannabis cured people, and I need everyone to understand that. I'm not special. There's a lot of people out there that are doing the same sort of thing that I'm doing, and they should all be applauded too. To legalise cannabis will help our economy. Will make people healthy again. Will make people happy again. And will give us a little bit of confidence in the government that they actually listen to what we want, and they'll do what we want when we ask them to.
Yay!
Personally, I am sick and tired of having to beg for my life. I am sick and tired of going to politicians and saying, please, please legalise this thing that's keeping me alive. It should be a human rights thing that if there's something out there that can save our lives, and the doctors have said, sorry, we can't help you anymore, that we should be able to access that thing, that we should be able to save our lives. We shouldn't have to die because this government has got stupid laws that don't make any sense, that are outdated and only serve a bunch of families that are going to make millions of dollars off of pharmaceutical companies.
Amen!
It is their job to listen to the people, to represent what we want and what we have to say. It is not their job to represent themselves or their rich mates. It is not their job to look after themselves. It is their job someone like me, terrible someone like me, that they should wait and try and access it from overseas, which could possibly take months and months and months, and you'll have to pay thousands of dollars to access a drug that is a pharmaceutical product that you don't even know is going to work because it's probably going to be CBD dominant, and instead he says, no, don't do that. I mean, to get that, don't get it from someone like me that's actually doing oil that's working for people. Don't get it from somebody else like me that's plodding along doing the same sort of thing, helping people. No, let's just wait another 6 or 12 months, and how many people are going to die in that time?
No way, no more.
It's all right for Malcolm Turnbull. He has the money to go anywhere in the world for treatment. And how many doctors are going to turn around to Malcolm Turnbull and say, sorry, go home and die, because we can't help you. Malcolm Turnbull and his family will get people flown in from overseas and they'll have whatever treatment they need. He doesn't have to worry about it. He shouldn't be speaking. And all he's done is show how far disconnected he is from the Australian people.
In November 2016, medical marijuana became legal in South Australia, but it has to be prescribed by your local GP. Now just try and find a GP that will prescribe it for you. And why is that? Is it because big pharmaceutical companies offer doctors incentives to sell their drugs? I'm not sure. In my case, I have F4 last stage cirrhosis of the liver. I also have an enlarged spleen and varices of the esophagus. Now, my doctors put me on tramadol, 150 milligrams. This is slow release. That means for 24 hours, I'm extremely drowsy, I have nausea, I am pretty much incapable of doing anything. So I'm left with only one choice: self-medication. Now I know I'm breaking the law, but 2 takes of this and I can complete a full day in relatively no pain. The day had come for Jenny to attend court, and there was already speculation that the charges may be withdrawn. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good. Yeah. Confident as can be.
I imagine it's going to be fairly straightforward today.
Yeah, it'll just be basically a mention, set a date, so the judge gets a chance to meet me and just, see what he thinks of me, so I suppose.
Well,
Or
indeed.
she, possibly, we don't know yet. So.
Might get lucky, one hopes.
We never know.
Best of luck.
Thank you very much, Dale. See how it goes.
I got the day off.
Yeah, I did know.
And of course, the media was all over her like a rash.
So I'm very grateful for the...
It's a bit of a historic day today, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Jenny Hallam shouldn't be before this court. We should have had this sorted out a long time ago. In fact, the real crime is how slow politicians have been to have people be able to access medical cannabis in this country. I think Jenny should be shown compassion in the way that she has shown compassion to many other people across this country.
It's a very good way of putting it.
We'll just try and get as many as we can in there. So, but like I said, just remember, please keep it quiet and please be respectful to the staff, because it's not their fault. And in fact, the staff have been amazing. I've already had a couple of people have a chat to me and say well done and good on me.
Okay.
So thanks guys, we appreciate this, we really do. So, but we've got a bit of time to wait. So, sorry.
It's not that easy being green, having to spend each day the color of the leaves, when I think it could be nicer being red or yellow or gold or something much more colorful like that. It's not easy being green,